Hello? We're back. We're back. It's the Neon Nightcast podcast. Starring, hosting, Michael Thrax.
Forgot your own fucking name.
Yeah, just like fucking get on with it. Jesus.
Like I'm always like, oh, I should say more things, but then I can't think of anything funny or creative because I'm a hack.
You're neither.
So I'm Michael Thrax, and I'm the host of the Neon Nightcast podcast. And like always, I'm joined with my co-hosts, Garrett Zagri and Eric Dr. Soybeans.
Thank you, or as I like to call the two of you, the Corey and Trevor to my Ricky.
We all know this one.
Yeah, that one was easy.
Everyone should know that
Holy
one.
shit. Great show. Fucking, I started watching it again a couple weeks ago.
I tossed
Still
him a
makes me
bone.
laugh.
It's
Gave
so
him an
funny.
easy one.
It's so funny. I love that show. But we're not talking about that show today. Today we're talking about We're Back, a dinosaur story.
Hey, well, let's put it this way. Can we get some hype for this podcast, guys? Can I get some hype?
Ooh, woohoo,
What are you?
yeah.
What are you?
Can I get
ADGQ?
Hype?
ADGQ 2016. Hype! Can I get some hype for my speed run of? Oh crap! I was trying to think of some obscure NES game that like no one
Earthbound?
gives a fuck about.
No one gives a fuck about Earthbound, that's for sure.
Earthbound's one of the most beloved games.
No, it's like the worst
It's
game
also
ever.
not a NES game.
Well,
Oh. Well,
So,
I don't fucking
dumb
know
fuck up
your
game.
dinosaur games, alright?
That was a double.
Like, I don't know the games from the fucking Stone Age, Eric. I'm sorry.
Well, see, and that's the problem. You stood on the shoulders of geniuses, and you don't have any respect for what came before you. You don't respect it, so you didn't, because you didn't earn any of it for yourself. And before you even knew what you had, you put it on your computer, and now you want to play it. You want to fucking play it.
that's from something, I think.
It was a highly bastardized version of Ian Malcolm's rant from Jurassic Park.
Oh, right. Yeah. So we're going to talk about hype. We're going to talk about hype. I don't know how many times I'm going to say this. So,
Maybe you should like talk about like what kind of hype, Mike?
well, there's good hype and there's bad hype. There's hype when something's coming out and they advertise it a lot, or just how the public is reacting to it. Or there's hype after something is released and it's actually, I guess...
Basically, we're talking about any of the situations where either a company or a fan base would have you believe that this game
the
is the
greatest
greatest
game.
fucking thing in all existence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the game Twindall Games.
It's the future of gaming.
It's the best there ever was.
Well, one thing that I'll bring up the first topic, I guess, and this is something that didn't have a lot of hype, but once it came out and people started discovering it, it was way overhyped. And we'll get into how the public feels about it after, but Undertale. Undertale was a Kickstarter-backed thing. One guy made literally everything with it. He's very talented. Like people that found out about his Kickstarter, sure, they were hyped for it leading up to its release, but I never heard of it until it came out and everyone started to play it. And then for, a year, no one would shut up about it. No one shut up about Undertale.
Well, I'll give a good example showing the insane hype that game has. GameFAQs, which is a popular site for game FAQs, but tends to skew towards an slightly older audience. Every couple of years, they run a series of polls to determine the greatest game ever. And it's usually something like Final Fantasy VII or Legend of Zelda or Ocarina of Time or Super Mario 64, I think, is one a couple times. But the year that Undertale had its insane hype, its fans specifically flocked to GameFAQs just so they could stuff the ballots and have it be declared the greatest game ever. And I can guarantee you that the next time they run that poll, I would be shocked if it even broke the top 50.
Yeah.
I love that Eric just is like, this is for old people, and all these young whippersnappers came in and and stuffed the ballots.
But there's like 13-year-olds don't even know what a message board is.
Yeah,
and right. Like GameFAQs isn't necessarily just a message board, but
because it's a garbage forum.
That's a big part of the community, but yeah, they specifically came to that site just to get Undertale be named the greatest game ever.
So, like, when Undertale came out, everyone was saying how, like, it's so progressive, you know, it promotes peace, it promotes this gender stuff that I don't really want to get into.
I heard someone cynically describe it as Earthbound, but with skeletons and gay people.
And
did you play Earthbound or?
No, I didn't play Undertale. I saw two people do a playthrough of it, and I've seen like, I've seen all because there's different play styles you can play it. You can be peaceful, or you can be genocide and whatever run.
Dog every day.
Anyways, so anyways, people were saying like you know, it was about everything. It was about everything that's wrong in the world, and it was just like this. Oh God, I can't think of the word. But anyways, it was so hyped that a YouTuber who was invited to meet the Pope, because the Pope was doing this thing where he was branching out to famous young people, that one of these YouTubers, the Game Theorist, gave a copy of Undertale to the Pope.
Yeah, I'm sure this 70-year-old man is going to sit down and play Undertale.
Dude, don't worry. The Pope will get his little 12-year-old little boy that sleeps with him to play it for him.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And, you know, and then you have like people making YouTube videos like greatest game of all time, one of my favorite RPGs of all time, blah, blah, blah. But I have seen...
And now, when was the last time you heard someone talk about it?
But, no, people are talking about it. There are multiple videos of people doing update videos of how they feel about Undertale and, like, basically taking it all back. They say, like, oh, it is a good game. Like, there's nothing wrong with it, but it really isn't about all this shit that we thought it was about. We just kind of, like...
They got caught up in the hype.
And looked into things that wasn't there and... blah, blah, blah. And, like, yeah, so all these people are like, yeah, it really isn't one of my favorite games of all time. I just got caught up in the hype. So Undertale is interesting. Like, I never thought it was a shitty game. Because it is like, it's made well. It is funny. But with the humor, it's only funny the first time. And... yeah, that's just about it. It just was way overhyped. The fans went nuts, and it ruined it for everyone. They ruined it for themselves, even.
Yeah, I mean, I really had no... Sorry, go on, Garrett.
I was just wondering, like, how'd they ruin it for themselves? Like, what do you mean by that?
They burnt themselves out. So the game, you could replay it, I think, a maximum of 4 or 5 times. There was that many like endings or like styles and like and then so like they just replayed it, talked about it, you know, fan art of Sans fucking Papyrus, and just they burnt themselves out.
I was just gonna say that, like, I'm sure it's a well-designed game. I'm sure the guy knows what he's doing, but it's one of those things where the fan base turned me off of it. The fan base was so incredibly obnoxious.
Yeah,
I just could not bring myself to give 2 fucks about this game.
There's I mean, you can't bash something because it's fan base, and also
I'm not bashing it.
Well, I mean, almost every game that's got even a little bit of hype has a fan base can be annoying.
Yeah, but Undertale's was really bad.
I guess. I don't know. I guess I haven't experienced too much hype with Undertale because. Never mind.
No. We're
nothing. I didn't have anything to say.
Okay. Well, okay. So one final thing. So there's another indie game, Lisa, And both Undertale and Lisa were heavily inspired by Earthbound, and that just shows you how good of a game Earthbound is. And they're both, like, Lisa is getting more love now, but people are, like, comparing it to Undertale, even though Lisa came out first. And,
boy, that must get your panties in a bunch, because you never shut the fuck up about that game.
And, well, no, Lisa's fucking absolutely amazing.
Caught up in the hype is what it sounds like.
There was no hype when I was playing it. But anyways, the thing about what I wanted to say is what Undertale and Lisa both take from Earthbound is like its sense of humor, where I found Lisa kind of made it its own thing, where Undertale was like, it's basically just like taking shit from Earthbound. Not like story elements or anything, but just like the humor in it. If you know what I mean?
No, I don't. Expand.
There's like fourth wall breaking, and like Earthbound did it, and it's just like,
who had the best fourth wall break?
Deadpool.
Fuck, Mike.
I knew you were going to say that.
I don't like fourth wall breaking. It doesn't sit right with me.
Fourth wall breaking, when it was first invented, way back in the day, hilarious, right? Because it was like
Looney Tunes invented fourth wall breaking in like the 30s.
Like no one had
a new thing
for that. Like I could see like fucking comics, like comics in the newspaper. Whenever they look at you and say something, it's like fourth wall breaking. So I'm sure fourth wall breaking has been around forever.
That's why I said like 300 years ago, right? But it can only be so funny for so long because it's not funny and it's not creative anymore. It's just like, like
it was dead when in Shakespeare's The Tempest, when Puck asks the audience to suck his nutsack.
And when I'm seeing like compilations of like Sonic Boom the TV show doing like fourth wall jokes, it's like just like it's not funny. Like, like the writers are so humorous because they break the fourth. Anyways, we're not talking about the fourth wall. We'll talk about hype. Somebody bring up something that was hyped, good or bad.
Well, all right. Let's get this out of the way right now. Mario 3, perhaps the earliest example of an overhyped game we're going to talk about. Good hype, I would say, because I think that's a great game. But they essentially made a major motion picture to hype that fucking game.
California?
It doesn't get much more hype than that. If you've never seen The Wizard, it's about a group of kids, one of whom is autistic, and as Mike is imitating, can basically only say California. But he's an idiot savant when it comes to video games.
50,000 Double Dragon? You got 50,000 Double Dragon?
And they travel across the country to compete in a Nintendo competition. And the centerpiece of this competition is, for the first time ever, they reveal to you Mario 3, which was essentially the entire point of the fucking movie was to
build up to Mario 3.
Right.
It's a movie, and it's been pointed out before. But how the fuck did that chick know about the warp whistle? They're like, never before new Mario game, and she's like, get the fucking warp whistle, you idiot! And it's like,
how would you know what a warp whistle is and where to get it?
And he's like ducking down and for like the 3 seconds, and it's like, what? But anyways, you know what I think? My theory is, how she was calling the Nintendo hotline? Like over and over again? I think she got like close to one guy, and then like he slipped her some tips. Like he knew about
some tips.
Yeah, he knew about it beforehand because he worked at
She'll
Nintendo.
suck his tip for some tips.
There's something that used to be a
She's
thing.
like 12, Garrett.
I mean, some people are into that. It's not good, but some people are into it.
There's something though that like is a fossil, is the Nintendo helpline. I remember like wanting to call it when I was a kid, but like being like, no, like mom would kill me.
I had a friend who prank called it once, but that movie also hyped the Power Glove.
Wait, okay, you can't just say you had a friend that prank called it. Like, is there a
was the
story
prank
behind
call?
it?
Yeah.
Not really. He called it, and the guy answered, and he's like, "Hey, this is Nintendo Hotline, Tom speaking." And my buddy goes, "Hey, Tom, I'm waiting for you." And the guy goes, "Margaret?"
Jesus.
Oh,
That's weird.
that's really weird.
So I guess he thought his wife like sex calling him at work.
Like, I'm just imagining like my 12-year-old self prank calling and just getting that response, be like, "Oh shit, like this backfired."
You're like, yes, it is Margaret. Like, where do you go from that?
So that movie hyped the Power Glove, possibly the worst video game accessory ever fucking invented.
Yeah, they had them play the one video game that it works with.
That it kind of works with, yeah.
Yeah.
But supposedly it would work with any Nintendo game, but because it was a piece of shit, that's not really physically possible.
Hey man,
But,
Nintendo tried. You gotta give them credit.
It was a pretty sweet looking glove. I wore one once and went to town on myself, and I came my ass off, man.
Did you get jizz all over like the controller and everything all over the glove?
I don't know why I said that. That joke didn't really land.
So, I thought that. No, I don't know. Oh my god.
I thought that joke landed perfect.
No, my brain is just fried now. So like I remember like, cause like all this, the movie and all, Mario 3 was out before I was born, maybe the year I was born, but
it was your birth year, Mike, 1989.
Everyone would just always be like, "I got Mario 3, dude," and it just never. Maybe because I played Super Mario World first.
Right.
So I just think that Mario 3 is overhyped. People still say it's like, and yeah, okay, fair, it's one of the best, but like, there's so many more Mario games that I would play over Mario 3.
We went over this in the Mario podcast, so.
Yeah, so check out that episode on the youtube.com/Neon Nightcast podcast.
Is it Neon Nightcast?
I can't even talk.
Pretty sure it's just Neon Nightcast.
Yeah, it's Neon Nightcast.
Yeah, fucking jeez, if you don't fucking plug us on our own podcast.
Yeah. Okay, it's been 2 weeks since we recorded, man. We're out of it. We're rusty. We're back though. A dinosaur story. All right, Gary, you bring up one then.
So I'm gonna talk about Fable. Fable 2 and 3 specifically.
Yeah,
because
so hypey, man.
I remember playing Fable 1 and thinking, oh my god, you can do fucking anything in this game. Like, you get to choose between good and evil. And then I just felt like that was the first game I played with a lot of customizability.
And it did have a pretty open world, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, it did. And the story, I can't even fucking remember the story. But you're a kid that kicks chickens. Is basically what I got out of it.
Yep.
And so whenever I heard that there was going to be Fable 2, I was like, oh yeah, dude, Fable 2 is going to be so fucking good. And then like the company itself, Lionhead Studios, which has gotten so much shit. I don't even think they exist anymore.
No, they disbanded.
Yeah, they hyped Fable 2 and 3 up.
Oh my god.
So fucking much. And then they just disappointed everyone. It was like Fable 2, it was basically just Fable, but the main character got older, and that was it.
Yeah,
so they were trying to ride on the coattails of the original, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. Like they introduced a few new features. Like I think you could own some property, like a house in Fable 2. I don't remember if you couldn't in the original Fable.
I don't know. I don't remember Fable 1, but Fable 2, I remember I didn't even play the game for the story. I literally just bought property and then just kept making money until I owned the entire city.
Yeah,
and then I was done with the game.
You might as well have just played Sim City at that point.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun walking around and like buying property and shit.
Yeah, you felt powerful. Power, no matter where you
like
have
if people were rude to me, I would just raise their rent and stuff.
Yeah, But yeah, Fable 3, again, it was just the same game, but an interesting feature in Fable 3 is that it checked it always checked the time on your console.
Yeah.
So say you logged off like 12 o'clock midnight on Saturday, and then you don't play it again for like 5 days, it'll know how long, and it'll pay you rent.
Yeah.
For how long you've been gone. So you could so easily go into your fucking PlayStation settings and set it for like a year later.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fucking...
I remember watching a video and someone set their calendar on their console to like 1,000 years in the future, and then it's just like this giant like max money just pops up over the character.
Yeah.
Wow, how did they overlook that?
I don't think they gave a fuck, honestly. Like, Lionhead Studios just dropped the ball on a lot of shit.
It's like one of these things where it's like, okay, we want to have this feature, but we really don't know how to overlook it. But like Nintendo has overlooked shit like that with like Pokemon. Like I know in Diamond and Pearl there's a Pokemon that can only spawn on Fridays, and if you change your clock at all, it like won't spawn till the next Friday.
And that Pokemon's name, Rebecca Black.
Drifblim. But anyways, Fable 2, I remember just like being so hyped, and one of the most hypiest things around this game was you get a fucking dog. Like Fable 2, they were and people were like, same thing with like Fallout 4, which I think we're going to talk about later, but like, there's a dog? Like, yeah, it's a dog. Who cares?
Yeah, you have to have like a follower, but I mean, it's just like
followers in every game are so fucking annoying.
Oh, another interesting thing about Fable 3 was that you got to have a family also. Like, you got to fuck people in Fable 3.
Yeah.
And what would happen whenever you fucked them? So it took so much effort to get someone to fuck you. It took so much fucking effort. Trust me.
Unlike in real life.
I had to look at guides to figure out how, because I was a fucking horny 12-year-old thinking they would show porn in a fucking PG-13 game.
Yeah,
just like in real life, Garrett had to resort to a guide to get laid.
Oh, that's that
one hurt.
I could resist.
Yeah, no, dude, trust me, I was like 18 when Fable 2 came out. No, probably like 19. And I remember being like, having like, making my female character have sex with another female and just being like, this is so hot, even though it was like a black screen.
But you knew what was happening behind that black screen.
It was just like, that's how they
had voices. They had voices. They'd be like,
that's how they hyped you in, right? Like, you can do it. Lionhead Studios made a game called Black and White and Black and White 2, which was basically like Sim City, but you were a god and you would have an avatar that would be like an animal, and it was like a giant. And yeah, it was really cool because you would like build a city and you would either like take over other cities, so it was kind of like Civ as well. You'd either take over other cities by force or by like pushing your religion on them.
It got really good ratings.
Yeah, Black and White 2 was the one I owned, and that one was amazing. Really fun game. So, let's talk about, we mentioned this one earlier, but because I like this game. And I liked this game a lot as a child. And even the series in general is very hyped, and people always lose their mind when there's a new one announced. But let's talk about Legend of Zelda, and specifically Ocarina of Time. Ocarina of Time, I think, I liked the game. I loved it as a kid. It's not one of my favorite Zeldas at all, but I don't think it's aged well. And, like, for the time, sure, it was, like, groundbreaking and shit, and I understand why it was overhyped, But when I look back at it, I'm like, that's really not a good game, and it's really not one of the best Zelda games.
See, somehow I avoided the hype for that. Even back in the day, I was kind of, I guess because I was never, I mean, I like Zelda, but it's never been my main thing.
Yeah.
So even back in the day, I was kind of like, it's a Zelda game. It's not the greatest fucking game in all existence. I don't get why people are carrying on about it like it is.
Yeah. But, you know, it's like we said, like you said, GameFAQs, it almost always is
right. It's quite often voted the best
game of all time. Where it's definitely not the best game of all time, and it's not even the best Zelda of all time. So like,
Breath of the Wild's the best Zelda game.
Majora's Mask or Link's Awakening is the best.
You're wrong.
I would probably
you're just wrong.
Yeah, I would probably go with Link's Awakening actually. But
given I've only ever played the original Legend of Zelda on Game Boy, and then I played Twilight Princess, so I really don't know.
So you played, if it was on the Game Boy, it was probably Link's Awakening.
Well, he might be talking about like Game Boy Advance or something like that.
Yeah, the Game Boy Advance, because didn't they make a original Legend of Zelda for the Game Boy after the Game Boy Advance released?
They might have.
What I'm thinking
sounds like something they do.
They did. I know for sure they did a release of A Link to the Past on the GBA.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe you played Link to the Past.
It might have been A Link to the Past. This box art looks familiar.
Yeah. So yeah, I like you said, I do like the Zelda games. I think like Majora's Mask is really, really dear to me and all that, and Link's Awakening is a really fucking great game. But other than that, all the rest of them, and there's a lot of really bad ones too. Like people fucking hate Skyward Sword and Phantom Train.
Most people didn't like Twilight Princess either, though.
Yeah.
Hell, and that goes all the way back to the second game ever released, Link's Awakening. That game gets a lot of hate too. So
exactly.
There has always been Zelda games that the fan base shits on.
Yeah, so it's just weird that Ocarina of Time is the best, but if you look at like adventure RPGs on the Super Nintendo or the Game Boy, or the NES, there's better games. Like you got Star Tropics on the NES, that's better than the original Zelda. I know like it's years apart, so it's kind of uncomparable. But okay, like we look at action RPGs because that's what Zelda is, right?
Metroid,
Secret of Mana, Secret of Evermore. I like those better than A Link to the Past. But I guess they're different.
Well, I mean,
right?
this isn't about shitting on Zelda. It's specifically about Ocarina of Time being hyped as potentially the greatest game ever, and it just really being confusing why all games gets that accolade.
Yeah, like it just isn't. There's like the joke where it's like, oh, the water temple, it's the hardest thing ever. It's not hard. It's just tedious. You have to like pull out your ocarina and play a song to make the water levels go up and down, and you have to equip and unequip your iron boots. So there's a lot of going into your menu, but with better item management or like menu management, it wouldn't be as tedious as it is. So it's like, like it's time to let that joke go. It's time to let like the hype go. It's just, it really isn't that great. There's way better Zeldas, and
because Breath of the Wild has been like had great reception, right?
Yeah,
everyone's loved it. Right?
Everyone said Breath of the Wild is good.
Yeah, that's one of the ones like that. That seems to be the pattern for Zelda games. Either everybody loves it or the fan base immediately shits all over it.
Yeah,
there's no in between. There's never a game that the fan base just goes, oh, that was okay.
Yeah. So people are really passionate about Zelda, and that's just something I don't understand. As much as I love Majora's Mask, Zelda wasn't really my fandom thing. I wasn't a Zelda kid.
10 million strong and growing.
Fuck you, Mike. That's what I gotta say. Link was always the person I picked in Super Smash Bros. Which
I always picked Samus or Ness. Or DK?
I never. So the way I got introduced to Legend of Zelda was actually through Super Smash Brothers, because Link was in it, and that's why I called myself a fan of the Legend of Zelda, because I played Link in Super Smash Bros. Didn't play the games, didn't need to. Link was enough.
You're like, yeah, Legend of Zoldor. It has Lonk in it.
Who is Princess Zorldo?
Zorldo. I got another one. I comes to my mind is StarCraft 2. StarCraft was the most popular RTS of all time. In Korea, it was like a major sport way before, it
was the original like esport competition.
Yeah, like, now it's kind of common for like people to be sponsored by products and companies because you play video games. This was like, way before that. And like people played StarCraft religiously. I played it on and off for its entire lifespan. Then finally, we got this trailer, StarCraft 2. Really good trailer. It's really cool. Really got you hyped up. And it came out, and now no one plays StarCraft 2.
It basically killed the franchise.
They recently re-released StarCraft in high definition, and I play that way more now than I played StarCraft 2.
That might be too little too late at this point, though. I don't think they're ever going to recapture the height of their popularity.
Yeah, I doubt they ever will. They're probably, like, StarCraft 2, I think, has been dying for a while. Like, because even KESPA, Korean Esports Association, like, they've recently just dropped, like, this year, StarCraft 2 from their tournaments.
Wow.
So, like, really? StarCraft, at least I believe they did. Don't quote me on that. But, I believe I heard something about them either dropping it soon or they've already dropped StarCraft 2.
StarCraft 1 might come back, though, because there was, like, 7,000 people watching it on Twitch today. Though that's not a lot of people.
I don't think so. Yeah, that's not
saying
enough.
It out loud. That's not a lot of people.
But, I mean, StarCraft, it did give, like, Korea specifically a huge advantage when it comes to esports. Like, that's what a lot of
their resources are way more.
Yeah, a lot of League of Legends analysts and
Faker
coaches and stuff. Yeah, so a lot of them accredit StarCraft to Koreans' dominance in esports because they're the first region to have an actual infrastructure for esports. So
like having coaches and stuff. Because I remember
exactly.
when League started to get popular and we were like watching it and I'm like, who's this guy? And you're like, oh, that's the coach for whatever team. And I'm like, the fuck why do they need a coach? Like, it's a video
Get your head in the fucking game.
Exactly.
Man, coaches just watch VODs and call them out on their fuck ups.
Yeah. Or like, I guess they help with picks.
Coaches do pick and bans in League. But like, were there coaches in StarCraft?
There must have been.
Yeah, like,
or
what the fuck did
managers.
those coaches do?
Yeah.
You win this tournament for me, and I'm personally going to kiss each and every one of you little pansies right on the mouth.
And they're all...
Exactly.
Wait, I was going to make the joke of, like, oh, they're going to love it because, like, they want to get some action. But, like, actually, all these esports guys are dating, like, hot-ass chicks. So, fuck me, right? I'm a loser.
Faker's not in a relationship, Mike. You could get in on that Faker action.
Faker senpai.
You could be his waifu.
I could be his waifu.
Well, that's Japanese, actually.
Speaking of waifu, there's this band I've been meaning to tell you to watch, Eric, because it has the cringiest... everyone and Eric, after this podcast, look up Cosplay Girlfriend, and you'll have a good laugh.
Okay.
Oh. That reminds me of so I was watching Game Grumps.
Yeah.
And Aaron brought up Utada Hikaru. Do you know who that is?
The green-haired hologram?
No. Yutaka Hikaru was the one that did the soundtrack for Kingdom Hearts, Simple and Clean. And
When You Walk Away.
Mike, you're thinking of
those
Hatsune
songs.
Miku.
Yeah.
And fucking Eric knows who it is. That's sad.
He's jerking to it right now.
Yeah, but anyway, Utada Hikaru has this one song where she says, "You're easy breezy, but I'm Japanesey."
Oh.
And it's called,
my God.
I think it's actually called Easy Breezy. And Aaron Hansen was like, I don't know why I said his full name. Aaron from Game Grumps said, you know what? I'm going to start saying that. And it's not racist because a Japanese person said it. But yeah,
I don't think that's how
about that.
racism works. Because if I said, like, other word, that'd be racist. There's been a lot of racism heat going around. PewDiePie, he's probably going to ruin YouTube again, so...
Yeah, I've already seen videos about fucking adpocalypse happening again. So.
Because of PewDiePie.
Rip. This podcast never going to take off. It's
Guys,
never
we're going to go
take
from
off.
making 10 cents to, like, 0.5
penny.
cents. Somebody hit me up with some hype. Hype it up.
You want to go, Eric, or...
Well, I don't know. I'm kind of out of the ones I was going to bring up, but just looking over the list that we have here, one that was hyped enough
Whoa,
that
there's no list. We don't have lists. What do you?
Why is that taboo to admit?
Professional. Yeah,
it's a joke. I'm making a joke.
But one on the list that was hyped enough that I experienced the hype even as somebody who's not really following this was Overwatch.
Without electricity.
Overwatch.
Yeah, Blizzard does a great job of hyping their games. One, because their entire fan base is going to hear about it. If Blizzard releases anything, their fan base is going to hear about it. And they have possibly, well, no, not anymore. League of Legends has the highest fan base, but possibly like the second largest gamer fan base ever.
I think Blizzard has solidified itself because of WoW that if it does anything, any gamer is going to hear about it.
Yeah, and any gamer is going to try it out because Blizzard releases, quality games. But yeah, Overwatch was pretty fucking hyped. It was going to
I felt it.
Go killer.
I felt it. Like I remember being like, I'm not that into FPS, but, this does look cool. The characters look cool. This is awesome.
Oh, I'm sure you said they look cool with your hand down your pants.
Okay, Diva is one of my waifus, all right? Like, I won't deny that. Like, my fucking phone background is her.
Yeah. She's good. I also like May because she has that thickness.
Thick.
HCC thickness.
She's thick. I saw this picture the other day, and it was like a picture of Mrs. Incredible, and it was like, was she born that thick, or does she just form herself to be that thick? And that's something to think about.
She had to have formed herself
to be that thick.
Like, if you had the ability to shape your body, you fucking would. That's just it.
She gives herself that big old thickness.
She's got that fat booty. That petite frame, and then those giant jugs.
Now, Eric, remember? I don't know if Garrett will remember this, but Eric, remember when it was like girls did not want to have giant butts?
Yes, I remember the 1990s.
Yeah. I find it so weird that it's completely 180'd. But we're not talking about.
I'm not complaining.
I'm not complaining.
Personally, I enjoy a nice.
When did
back in the 90s, I'd always be like, "Isn't a big butt good?"
Yeah, when did the Big Butt song come out?
That was definitely in the 90s.
See, that I think was in the 90s, but I think it took a while for it to kind of become mainstream.
Yeah.
These things booties don't grow overnight,
Okay,
they do.
We need to get back on topic.
You go to a plastic surgeon, Eric, and they can make that thing fat overnight.
Overnight.
It was released in 1992. I like big butts.
Wow, 92.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what were we talking about? We were talking about Overwatch, yeah.
Talked about May thickness.
Now, we tried it out, and yeah, there was like drama within our group, and it was stupid. But I just it wasn't gonna last for me because
people raised their voices.
I'm not into FPS at all anymore. I've gone on record saying I played a lot of Counter-Strike. I did a lot of speed running of BioShock and BioShock 2. I'm just FPS'd out. But the thing for me is, it was kind of like Undertale, where the fans of Overwatch are really fucking obnoxious.
Not as obnoxious as Undertale fans.
Definitely not. Definitely not. Not even close. But Overwatch is I don't want to. It panders a lot to it panders a lot to things that are issues of today. So, okay, they're very pushing of the openly gay female character, and it's
only one scoop of ice cream per person, that sort of thing.
Is that just them being progressive, or is that them pandering so more people will play their game?
I mean, I don't think it's pandering. I think it's just well, why not? Why shouldn't we?
Yeah.
Because literally, why not?
Why exactly. Yeah.
Because it's only one. They have multiple females in this game. They don't have a gay guy in the game, and they have tons of guys or tons of men characters. So I don't think they're pandering at all. If they were pandering, they'd be like, oh yeah, this one's gay, this one's trans, this one's a fucking attack helicopter. I don't.
Yeah.
I would tend
to.
That's true.
I would tend to agree that one character does not equal pandering.
Doomfist could be gay, Garrett.
They haven't released shit. Whenever Tracer was gay, they came out with a story and shit. So
it was they made a comic around Christmas time where she was celebrating Christmas with her girlfriend.
Yeah, and I think honestly, I love companies that make comics about their own characters. Riot does it, Blizzard does it.
Yeah.
There's so many Blizzard books, or WoW books, I guess, out there. And I love that whenever companies do that for their own. I mean, they're making money off of it, so it's a plus for everyone.
It's good for both sides. But yeah, no, Overwatch, I think. Yeah, I think it was deserving of its hype. I think it's really done nothing wrong.
I mean, it got a lot of hype, and then it was supposed to be the next huge esport, which unfortunately
it's not.
Blizzard may have actually dropped the ball on that because the spectator mode is not good, and that has made a lot of people not want to watch it because it's too hard to spectate.
Yeah.
Basically, it's too hard for the spectators to focus in on where the action is, and also Blizzard hasn't introduced a good meta in the game, so it's mostly just from whenever I used to watch Monte Cristo, who famously left Riot casting League of Legends. Well, he's never a part of Riot, but he left casting League of Legends to cast Overwatch, and he said that the spectator view is bad and the meta is stale. It's just tank meta with a couple of damage carries. So
yeah, tanks are OP. It's it is a shame, but it is still pretty watched on Twitch. And there is still a huge fan base. It's something that
but I feel like CS:GO is going to be the FPS people go to.
Okay, CS:GO is hardcore gamers, and Overwatch I see it's more of casual. I'm not trying to say anything, but I follow a lot of cosplay girls on Instagram, and they're always streaming Overwatch, and I think it's just something that it's more fun, it's more casual than CS:GO.
Yeah, I think it's fine to stream because you're watching the player play the game.
You probably follow that one girl who dresses up as Diva and twerks, right?
Mike, if there's a girl out there that dresses up like Diva,
yeah, I'm thinking, there's every cosplayer did that ever, so I can't follow them all. But yeah, no, I think, coming into this, I thought I was going to be negative towards Overwatch and it's overhyped, but you know what? I think it was deserving. I think Blizzard has solidified itself to be worth hype over a new game, and Overwatch really isn't that bad of a game.
Yeah, again, it's just I think it's a good game to play with friends if you're into FPS.
Yeah.
But whenever you go to watch a FPS tournament, you're gonna go watch CS:GO.
Yeah. I would much rather watch a CS:GO tournament than a Overwatch tournament.
Yeah, I would too. CS:GO tournaments are actually very entertaining, and I hate FPS.
Yeah.
Are we moving on to another game?
Let's move on. Let's move on to more hype. Let's get some hype in the chat, Eric.
Hype?
There you go. Hype! Just like ADGQ, man. Just I think it was 2015 and 2016. Just like every 2 seconds, there's just some guy in the background. You can just hear him just muffled, like.
I just see like them finishing a run, and then just the guy on the couch being like, "Can we get some hype in the chat, please?"
Yeah, it's always some lifeless like loser. It's like 3 a.m. He's in his pajamas. He's like, "Yeah, this is my speed run for Adventure Island 2 for the NES. Can we get some hype?" And it's just like, yeah, like literally just one guy in the back just screaming hype. It's Adventure Island 2. No one gives a shit.
I don't know. It's I can't watch games done quick sometimes because it's just too cringy.
It depends on the person sitting, like doing the run. It depends on the people that he is invited to sit on the sofa, and then it depends on the game.
Yeah, the people sitting on the sofa. That's who fucking like. You have to get good people.
I think we've all seen the most awkward speedrun ever, Tomba 2.
By Caveman?
Yeah.
Have you seen that, Garrett?
I have not. I'll look it up after this.
You need to watch. There's like parts where usually the people that sit on the couch are people that like he's invited. So this guy, Eric, what's his name?
Chibi.
He just he's interview. He's talked about it. He's like, yeah, I just saw an open spot, so I just sat there. And so
you don't think that the couch is special whenever all the other chairs are like fucking fold-up chairs?
Yeah.
So there's a point like he keeps making awkward jokes and comments that have nothing to do with the game, and the guy doing the speedrun, Caveman DCJ, is kind of just tolerating it. And then there's at one point where he just goes, "I would really appreciate it if you would be quiet."
Yeah.
And you instantly see Chibi's face, like his smile just like disappears, he's just like
so miserable.
Yeah. It's really, really awkward.
And then so there's a part where Caveman's talking and he's like, "This is actually one of the most entertaining and like interesting parts of the game." And meanwhile, there's like a donation going off, and someone's like, "I'll donate $20 more if the guy in the green shirt does jumping jacks." So as the most important part of the video game is going on, you have fucking Chibi doing half-ass jumping jacks.
Jesus.
And the Caveman guy, he's just like, well, we'll wait because now we got this going on, apparently.
Yeah. And he's just like so pissed. He's like, this guy ruined my run.
That's so sad.
There's also, there's another really good run where a guy's doing Crash Bandicoot 2, I think it is. And he just keeps talking about how he wants to kill himself. And,
oh, Jesus Christ.
And he keeps talking about how, like, they're not apples, and he'll just scream, like, "They're not apples!" And, like, no one's saying... Yeah, they're Wampa fruits. Like, he's just so... Yeah, he just keeps going on about, like... Because, like, in that game, to, like, get out of levels or whatever, I guess you just kill yourself. So he just, like... But he talks about, like, it literally, like, it's really fucking cringy, man.
What is it about Crash Bandicoot? Because right here on the Neon Nightcast channel, we did a fanfic reading of a Crash Bandicoot Hotel Transylvania crossover, and yeah, I don't know what it is about that game and attracting interesting personalities. Because
Crash
That
was,
might go on.
well, I was just gonna say Crash was never a thing that like I was ever interested in as a kid. Even though like I owned a PlayStation as well as an N64, it just like it never looked good to me. I've never played it personally. Maybe it is really fun platformer, but yeah, like Oni, uh they play like every Crash thing ever. They always talk about it. They had the Insane Trilogy remake. Um
That was too much fucking Crash Bandicoot.
yeah,
I was a fucking month of like 30 minutes watching Crash Bandicoot, but you couldn't miss it
yeah.
because like
Oni's hilarious.
Oni, Julian, and Ding Dong are just too fucking
They're
funny.
so funny. But yeah, and like there's like this huge fan base to like Crash Bandicoot that like I'm only starting to hear about in the past like year. It's just I don't know, it's weird.
Fuck Crash Bandicoot. I think we have time for one more.
One more.
One
We're gonna
more
talk
quick
about
one, I'd say.
we're gonna talk about the
Which one, Mike?
F4?
Yeah, Fallout 4.
Fallout 4. Holy fuck.
We're gonna like talk about it negatively, but I bet there's a lot of people that would say the hype was deserved.
Yeah, there's a select few, but okay, let's do a little recap. Okay, so there's Fallout and Fallout 2, and they were over the top kind of bird's eye view, top down, RPG, kind of Diablo-esque games. And they were, I don't know, I don't think they were too popular.
Yeah, I don't think they were that big.
So then Bethesda, who I don't think made the first two, I think they bought the rights. I could be
Yeah, they
wrong.
bought the rights and did Fallout 3 and everyone afterwards.
So they did Fallout 3, and they brought it back, and they brought it into the mainstream. And Fallout 3 is still pretty good, but it hasn't really aged well. And then they made Fallout New Vegas, which is so good. It's so good. Fallout New Vegas is amazing. And that's what led to the overhype of Fallout 4. It was, 6-7 years later?
Yeah, it was a good while.
That they made.
I don't know exactly when, but
Fallout 4, and they're making like the trailers, and everything looks nice. And then, how do we feel about Fallout 4, Garrett?
Personally, I feel like it was a pretty good game. I liked the building your own settlements part because I thought that was a great addition. I thought that was so much fun. And honestly, I think that's the biggest like shining star in Fallout 4. That's the biggest draw for Fallout 4, that you got to build your own settlements. Because I know there's a ton of people that mod their games just so they can build settlements, and because like that's what people do, I guess.
There was that entire expansion, which the focus isn't combat; it's settlement building.
Yeah, because I honestly, like I said, I think that's the reason a lot of people play Fallout. If they play Fallout 4, they're not playing it for the story. They're not playing it to fucking. I mean, some people might be doing a deathless run or no health run or something, but most people play it for the settlements.
You know, the combat is relatively the same to New Vegas. I kind of like leveling up in New Vegas more than Fallout 4, but Fallout 4 it's good. Same old combat.
Yeah, I mean, they basically took the Morrowind engine for Fallout 3, beefed it up, and made Oblivion and Fallout 3. And so there's not much else you can do to a game. Like, it's the same game, basically.
Yeah.
Over and over again. You just have a new story, which isn't bad.
But when the story is lackluster...
the story in Fallout 4 was just kind of boring. You're just trying to find your kid, and then you realize your kid's like this fucking old man or like this fucking clone. It's confusing as shit. I still don't know. I played it twice, I think, to the end.
I never got to Sean, so...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure your son's just this old man that you kill.
I need to look that up. Anyways, so... You know, the characters in Fallout 3 and New Vegas are all, like, really wacky and, like, memorable. Like, even, like Easy Pete, one of the first guys in the first town in New Vegas. he doesn't let you have his explosives. He's just really protective of his dynamite unless you have explosives up to a certain level. Blah blah blah. But yeah, you remember him. But like Fallout 4, it's like I remember, the detective android thing.
Oh yeah.
So quickly,
forgot his name.
Yeah,
Vincent, something like that.
Very quickly. So Fallout 1, the plot line, Eric, is you live in a vault and the water filter is breaking or some shit, and the overseer of the vault sends you out to fix it. And that's your quest. You have to save your vault. You're getting put out into this wasteland, and nobody knows what it's like out there. Fallout 2, I have no fucking idea. Fallout 3, you start as a baby.
You're in a vault, and then you leave the vault, and then you blow up a city.
Yeah.
And then
I didn't blow up Megatron.
Oh yeah, you're in DC,
Megaton.
so you're trying to defeat the Enclave.
Yeah, but so yeah, like you're raised by your father from a baby.
So
So then he leaves the vault, and then you leave to follow after him. And then New Vegas, you start the game getting shot in the face by this guy, and you wake up, and the whole story is that so like this guy uses medicine to fix you. It's unrealistic, but it's a fucking video game. It's the future or whatever. You've lost your memory, and you're hunting down this man that killed you and stole from you. So then Fallout 4 tries to do, the same kind of story, but it's so shitty. And I don't know, maybe because I'm not a parent, but you start off perfect family. You're with your, you can play as a guy or a girl, so you're with your spouse, and you're like, I love you, I love our son, I love our robot butler, we live in the perfect family. Then instantly it's like, oh my god, the nukes are dropping, we have to go run into the vault. We get in the vault, we're frozen. Years later, someone comes in, kills your spouse, takes your baby, and you're going after your baby. But like somehow how they did it,
that doesn't sound that bad to me, in all honesty, as someone who's never played any of the games.
The beginning is very rushed.
I would agree. It's pretty rushed.
It's rushed, and it's just like it's done so like ho-hummedly, so like Like New Vegas, it's rushed because it's like shoot you in the face, the doctor fixes you up, and then he sends you on your way, and he's like, the people in the town are like, they went that way, right? Fallout 3, it takes like an hour to get out of the vault because you're like talking to your dad through all these steps of your life. Fallout 4, it's like, it's
Fallout
just
4. So I would say the difference is when you reach open world to the point where you're fine to stop following the story quest.
Yeah.
Because like in Fallout 3, you have to follow the story quest till you get to basically Megaton, I guess. And even then, like you still don't know a lot of shit. And then in Fallout 4, basically as soon as you leave the vault, you're good.
You can do what you want.
You're good to go.
So then, like Fallout 4, also like the backstory was the husband was in the army, and the wife is just like, you know, she wasn't in the army, I think.
Unless you play as a female, then she was in the army.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Whoever you play as was in the army, and the other spouse and your spouse was not.
Okay, then that makes sense. Yeah, so I don't know. Like, I really was disappointed with Fallout 4. Honestly, I've tried to play it twice, and I never even got close to beating it. It just...
But I mean, I feel like Bethesda has to come up with something revolutionary in the term of FPS RPGs in order to have another blockbuster game like Fallout 3.
They need to just, like, add some BioShock shit and just have, like, medical science, or, like science that's like magic.
But like that's the thing I like about Fallout is that it's somewhat realistic. I mean, sure, ghouls and fucking giant mutants aren't too realistic, but like
depends on who you ask.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's more realistic than BioShock ever will be. And
I thought BioShock was pretty grounded. Like they made up a good enough story of how they had the plasmids.
Who the fuck are Big Daddies, Mike? All right. How the fuck do those exist?
They're like mutated people put into suits.
Yeah, because you put people that are mutated into fucking suits.
They found slugs that were basically just stem cells, and with that they were able to do like whatever they wanted.
Fuck BioShock is what I'm saying.
BioShock was super hyped, and it was worth it. But anyways, we're almost up in an hour. That's our time. We could have gone on for hours, so maybe we'll do...
The greatest thing about the Fallout universe, just real quick, is the vaults and finding out what each vault did to their residents.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, that's
maybe we'll do a hype part 2. You know?
Yeah, we could. Except nothing. I had nothing to say.
All right. That was a lot of hype for nothing. Okay, bye. We love you.
See you later.
See you next time.
There's his catchphrase. That's his catchphrase, everyone.